My name is Seraphina, the Masked Lady. I was once human. Since then, I have lived many lives. I have been loved and reviled, adored and despised, been the child of a poor prostitute and a courtesan revered by thousands. When I was a child, a stranger with no face offered me the ability to move between the worlds. Since then, my every death has led to a new life. I once had a true love. He was ripped away from me when I was murdered in the 18th century. I search for him still. In the meantime, I walk in the shadows behind the universe, visiting realms both exquisite and terrible and bringing back stories and rhymes to amaze the mind and enchant the ear. Through my YouTube channel, I send the stories out into the world, hoping that my true love will hear them and reply. Hoping, if he does not, that I will find in the other souls who listen kindred spirits to help ease the pain. What of you, stranger? Did you come here tonight seeking a mystery? Do you hunger for a spark of excitement, for the dark thrill of fear? Will you listen as my tales unfold, knowing that some may very well take on lives of their own? Consider, stranger, whether you have the courage to walk between the worlds with Seraphina, the Masked Lady. Hello, my delicious darlings, and welcome back to the channel. It's here. We have already reached our 13th episode. Thank you so much to all of you who are joining me this evening. It is wonderful to have you here. I am having such a good time sharing poems and stories with you. Today's episode contains 3 poems, each from a different source. All 3 concern themselves with the scary, spooky, and supernatural. I admit I have a favorite, but don't tell the poems that. I would love to hear which of the poems you like the most. Drop a comment below. For now, enjoy our riveting rhymes, and that tapping on your window is only a tree branch, not a ghost. Maybe. Ghost stories. Everyone has a story of something that they have seen. Something so beyond what we know it feels just like a dream. Of voices calling in the dark, words engraved on a ledge. Of hidden hands that leave their mark on unprotected flesh. Tales of a banshee's screaming wail. Ghost ships set at full sail. Of frigid nights filled up with shades that whisper, choke, and flail. Often, we do not speak of these, afraid that men will say, if we unveil the strangeness, that our minds have gone astray, or that we're lying when we say that black things roam at night, or we're just making stories up to elicit a fright. But perhaps it is not just fear that silences our talk, but some force in the universe afraid we will not balk, but face the evil, hunt it down, should we know that it lives, walks through shadowed parts of the earth, and no lost child forgives. What do you think? Should we be scared that many hold inside? Fathoms of horrors unexpressed that they've chosen to hide. What is the truth? Do bad things walk, hungry throughout the night? If so, what dark, voracious beast watches your home tonight? The Skeleton's Feast. The skeletons rattle, they jiggle, they jitter, as under the black sky, they prance. On dark winter's nights, they turn their roomy sight to the fields where their thin comrades glance around to meet their bows and enjoy the feast, as they do when they're given the right. Why should they not eat when they've risen from rot, and from the grave to seek deathless delights? The skeletons rattle, they jiggle, they jitter, as out through the darkness, they flow. They reach and clasp hands, they press lipless mouths. Sometimes 2 or 3 of them go to find a grotto where, on banks of slick moss, they can lay them down to enjoy the pleasures of flesh that they knew before death, and that dearth of flesh cannot destroy. The rest sit down around square tables of rock and feast on worms and carrion. If you look at the hills, you may see the green fire, the cold flames meant to keep the dead warm. The skeletons rattle, they jiggle and clatter, as their soundless voices raise songs. They drink sour wine with a chaser of slime. They whirl in a wild, crazy throng. They drink raucous toasts to the lingering ghosts, who were once their friends and family. Some of them even swing from the gibbet that stands at the bleak, cold crossroads where many of the dead ones choked into lingering death. They laugh at their former misdeeds. Others wait beside the river for walkers, and then jump at them from the reeds. The skeleton crew might seem merry to you, pleasing to view on a chilly night. But should the green fire light up near your home, then keep your windows locked up tight. The jovial peasant may well think it pleasant to tarry where the dead ones meet. But keep your distance when the skeletons dance, or you may wind up being their meat. Day of the Dead. Come on, dear. It's time for the evening meal, my father and mother told me. We walked through the orange-scented darkness underneath the Chichen-Itza tree, and through the lighted hacienda where folks strolled smiling by in their finest clothes. Lamps in jars and twinkling candlelight struck colored sparkles from our finest robes. We, too, had washed, brushed, and cleaned ourselves up after working in the field all day. We had spruced up, swept, and cleaned top to bottom the place where our darling one lay. My mother had done my makeup for me and woven beads into my hair. This evening, she looked happy, young, and content, no longer burdened down by care. The Pantene gates were thrown open wide, golden marigolds trailing around. We heard people singing, talking, laughing, and joking. A wonderful sound. My father smiled brightly, squeezed my hand, and asked, "Darling, have you prepared your song?" I nodded, excited and happy. I'd worked on the special tune all summer long. My mother reached out and caressed my cheek. "Don't think your father doubted you. He thinks only of your grandmother, darling, and she will be so proud of you." I nodded then, picturing the sweet face that had sung me to sleep as a babe. In truth, I'd been blessed with two mothers in life. Anything brilliant and brave in me had come from those two fierce women. Though mother was still by my side, my heart yearned also for grandmother's tight hug. I knew that I would see her tonight. As we passed by the gates, other families bid us welcome with cries and waving hands. Torches danced like stars, and young children ran giggling roundabout, hand in hand. Father called back greetings, but we didn't pause. Instead, we hurried to the place where our friend us stood ready and glowing, now topped with a picture of Grandma's face. From our sacks, we took cakes and candies, soda, small notes, a bracelet and cigarettes, and bunch after bunch of rich gold marigolds, all the things that the evening would bless. Then we sat side by side in the warm, drowsy air, eating sweet loaves of pan de muerto, oblondigas soup hot in deep brown clay bowls, with tortillas as white as snow. As we ate, we shared stories of Grandma's doings, how she'd struck out from home as a girl, met and married Grandpa within 3 short days, and taught hundreds of young girls to twirl as dancers in festivals and at weddings. She was a herbal healer too. There was little that she could not cure with herbs, with ragwort, and with feverfew. We remembered the songs that she'd taught us to sing. My aunts now sing them to their babes. We laughed about how she had promised to spook us when we came to visit her grave. My mother told me how much I looked like her, had her hair and twinkling eyes. Dad said her sense of humor was beyond compare, and she loved a happy surprise. I remembered how tightly she hugged me like we two were alone in the world. When Grandma was there, I had never doubted I was an exceptional young girl. As we spoke, we felt her drawing closer to us, her humor and warmth spreading round. Finally, I saw her sweet, plump figure standing by a tree looking around. Father saw her, too, and he nodded to her while my mother let out a glad cry. "Go on, my Nina Pequena," she told me. "It's time to let your sweet voice fly." So I stood and sang to my sweet grandma. Sang our grief when she'd first passed away. Sang the happiness we held in memory and our hope to hold her again one day. I sang about how much we loved her each day and how comforting it was to know that while we kept her alive in our memory, she would never far from us go. I promised we'd share her stories with any future children who came along. And on every Dia dos Muertos, I'd sing her another special loving song. Grandma listened and smiled at our play, and she blew kisses to all of us. She grinned at the La Katrina dolls, the flowers, the laughter, the fuss. We stayed right through until morning. When the last of the stars left the sky, we waved at our fading grandmother and smiled, saying farewell but never goodbye. Hello, and well done to all of you who have reached the end of the episode. I hope you enjoyed this visit to the spaces behind the worlds as much as I enjoyed recording it. I especially liked narrating the Day of the Dead. I love that it reflects a tradition of respect and veneration towards the souls of departed loved ones rather than fear. Of course, the ghosts in that poem are by and large friendly ones. There are other specters out there who are far less amiable. So, what are your plans tonight? Are you off to bed, or do you have adventures planned? I think I'm going to take my cat and go for a walk in the starlight. The air is still cold, but the quietness of the night soothes my soul. Whatever you are up to in the next week, stay safe, be blessed, and be sure to join me again next week for more petrifying poems.